Hi, I'm Nicola.
And I'm Jay Percy.
And welcome to the Afro Animist Podcast.
We are two animists and spiritual practitioners exploring the secular through the spiritual, discussing life experiences through a sacred lens.
Each week we share our experiences and dive deep into everything in life, from philosophy, metaphysics, obeah, occultism, shamanism, culture, healing, nature, animism,
the arts, pop culture, conspiracies, psychedelics and witchcraft. Nothing is off the table in these discussions, which aim to get to the heart of what it means to be spiritual and Afro-diasporic in an increasingly sterile and authoritarian world.
We keep it real whilst exploring the biggest mysteries of our multiverse. Join us holding this space to laugh, cry, debate, build community and tear down oppressive structures.
Welcome, 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 beautiful, beautiful being of the multiverse, to the Afro Animist Podcast. You're here with me today, Jay Percy.
And me, Nicola Roth. And we have, seriously, I'm so excited about this. So excited about this episode today because we're talking about human design with an amazing master human designer. I don't know if you remember a few weeks ago, we did a few months ago, we did a human design episode where we spoke about the fact that we really wanted to know more about human design and we've managed to manifest that.
We manifested that experience.
We manifested it, exactly. So, I don't know, Jay, do you want to introduce Angie?
Yes, I am very, very, very happy to be announcing today that we have the wonderful Angela Lundy on our podcast. We're so happy to have you, Angela. Angela is pursuing a lifelong journey to live a life of purpose. After spending years trying to find the one right way, she realized that we are all so unique, there isn't one way at all. She decided to use human design by herself and now on her clients to really get intentional with her life and how she operates in alignment. She is a 6-2 manifesting generator. With this, she lives a multi-passionate life doing things that she loves. She loves human design, astrology, and gene keys. In her coaching, she brings in meditation, journaling, and hypnosis. Oh, I love the sound of all of that. That all sounds,
I know,
so fabulous. What a path.
Yes,
what an interesting place to end up.
It's been a journey. I mean, I was definitely like the weirdest kid that laid in bed at night, like, what am I here to do at like 5 years old? Like, why am I here? Why do these people all seem like they're in this like narrow little focus and I'm looking at the stars like, why am I here? But it went all over the place. And I would say 10 years ago, I thought I was going to be like a health coach. I loved nutrition and health and wellness and all of that. And I thought I was going to make my body and my outer shell perfect. And I was going to make everybody else perfect. And I had all this anxiety. So I used, food and supplements and everything like that to kind of keep it under wraps. And then, I have the 2551, which Nicola has too, that will shock you into, no, you're not on the right path, over and over and over. It just like slaps you almost. They call it the shaman or priestess channel, and it will like knock you down. And it knocked me down where food did not work. Nothing worked. And I had to really learn meditation and EFT tapping and all of the tools to figure out that, how to calm myself, how to calm all of this anxiety, how, and then I just figured out there wasn't one right way. And that's when human design came into play. And then I was like, whoa, I told everybody, you need to stop eating gluten. You need to stop eating dairy. You need to stop, telling everybody how to live their life in this one perfect way that they're just looking at me like I'm crazy. And now I'm like, no, everybody has their own path. Everybody has their own way of eating, of looking at the world, of taking it. And I'm like, whoa. And so now my family they don't really understand what I do. They're starting to a little bit more, but they're just like, wow, you're just a nicer person. You're not trying to like change me, you know?
Yeah.
I love that.
So, yeah.
I love that. Our families don't understand what we do either, do they, Jay?
No. No, I've got the odd one or two. I think you and I both have the odd like cousin who's like really on the same wavelength, but everyone else is sort of like, oh, that's okay.
You're a weirdo, yeah. Yeah, telling us how to evolve spiritually. Please be quiet. So, Angie, do you prefer to be called Angie or Angela, first of all? So I just nicknamed you.
I love when people call me Angie because that's like what my family and my friends always call me. But I always introduce myself as Angela, and I don't know why. It just I feel like, oh, I'm all prim and proper, and this is what my name is to people
Yeah.
that don't know me. But then I'm like, feel weird when people call me Angela because I'm not really. I'm like Ange or Angie.
See, like, I totally get you
I
because I'm
don't
exactly
know.
the same. I'm exactly the same. Jay keeps on saying to me, like, what is your name on this podcast? Like, what is your like actual name? Because I do the same. I'm like, Nicola. Nicola is my name. I'm going to introduce myself perfectly and properly, but please just call me Nick or Nikki, because otherwise it's kind of weird and I feel like I'm a bit in trouble and it's too proper. So yeah, okay, Angie. All right.
I agree. I'm right there with you.
So
I like just having the one syllable.
Yeah, Jay's got it easy. Jay does have it easy. So will you tell us a little bit about, so for our listeners that have absolutely no idea what human design is, like, what is this new thing that everyone is talking about, human design?
Well, I would say pause this episode, go to any of the websites that you can pull up free human design profile. I really like Jenna Zoe. She has, it's thehumandesign.com. I like hers because you get to see like how you digest and how, like you get to see all those things too. So I really like that one, but you can go to, just like free human design profile, pull it up. And once you get that up, it'll tell you, your type, your strategy, your signature, and all of that. But human design, I love human design so much because it's so practical. It's like, this is the mechanics of how you are. This is how your energy flows. This is how you show up. This is how people see you. This is how, you kind of see yourself. This is how, when you're in the, everybody wants to get into alignment, right? Oh, buzzword, alignment. Am I in alignment? Am I not in alignment? Like, this is how you get into alignment. It tells you if you're feeling this, you're not in alignment. This is how you feel when you're in alignment. This is how you see the world. This is how you show up. This is how, when you are in alignment and living your purpose, this is how you do it. And that's what I love so much. And it can get, foggy. And I'd love anybody that wants to find a human design reader, come to me, and we'll kind of try to clear it up. But it's a journey. It's not a, snap your fingers and you're in alignment kind of thing. But it takes astrology, the time that you were born and the time that you were designed, which is 88 days before your birth. So you get two astrology, one side is your personality, one side is your design date, your subconscious, things you might not know about yourself as much, but other people probably do because they see it, coming out. Okay. It takes all those and it puts it into a body graph that combines kind of the Chinese I Ching to make all the gates, and it has the chakra system in there so you can kind of see where the energy is in the different chakras. And it combines it all in this way that, once you really embody it, you can just see how the design is working, what it's connecting to, what it's disconnecting, where it's putting you. And they call it the not self, which is always just focusing on what you don't have and what society says you should have and not what you do have, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you take all of that and you get this chart and you're just going to be like, whoa, what is it? So we can try to break down like the type and things like that if you'd like. Or
okay. Well, thank you for that explanation. I'm really looking forward to how the rest of this episode like delves into this. I've been so excited for this. She's done both of our charts and then looked at our charts together, and it's just mind-blowing. It's absolutely mind-blowing how you've been able to break this down
Yeah. Like,
Yes,
seriously.
I
Sorry, I was just gonna big you up even more and just say, like, actually, such an amazing reading, so clear, broke down everything, like everything. And I feel like sometimes you get readings. I've had a lot of readings, and a lot of the time, the depth, it's sometimes hard to be able to find the depth, and you really gave it to us. Like, so anyway, please continue.
I will say, if somebody wants just a little bit, a little piece, and they just want, like, I just want to understand this in a little bit, don't book a reading with me, because I can't. I want to. I'm like, this is recorded. You can read it. You can look at it a million times. This is going to be a lot. I'm going to blow your mind. Your mind's going to hurt at the end. But I want you to understand how this works. Like, I just want to give it to you. Come to me, give it to. And if somebody wanted to coach with me or something, we would take it week by week and really, like, reset those things. But if somebody comes to me for a reading, I want to give them everything, and then they can rewatch it and rewatch it and rewatch it, but they have it. I'm a teacher. I really want to teach teach you who you are.
I just think it's so beautiful that that's what your purpose is, because we can go out and learn so much about ourselves in the world, but to have someone who's a dedicated teacher to helping us get closer to our more authentic self, that's a really important thing. I feel like you're doing, God's work here. I mean, God in the loosest way possible.
I do. I get down on my knees every night and I'm like, please just take me out of it. Let me do it the right way. I'm just trying to surrender as much as I can.
I mean, this is amazing, because I feel like this is the way that you actually can genuinely support and help people. I feel like we're very good at taking prescriptions and just kind of following what we should do, but being able to give somebody essentially that responsibility to understand how to do this for themselves, to pass on that knowledge in a way, is just super, super important. I feel, especially with this kind of work, because sometimes we can try and skirt responsibility with these things. If I'm honest, when I looked at human design, first of all, I was looking for some excuses. And what I found is that actually they're not excuses, are they? But there are reasons why. And it helped.
It can be hard. Like, you have an emotional wave, Nicola, or I'm going to call you Nikki now. You gave me permission.
Okay, yes, please.
But you have an emotional wave, and that can be hard, but I love my emotional wave now. I really do. I spent a year, I think it was 2020. It was like COVID. And I had read something about gratitude and this and that. And I thought, I'm going to spend this year in gratitude. And I really did. It was a really calm year for me. Everybody else, the whole world is like falling apart. And I'm like, I love my coffee. But I had figured out a way to not trigger my wave. And so I wasn't having any of the highs and I wasn't having any of the lows. I was so neutral on everything. And it was really nice in a way. But then I was like, I didn't come here to be neutral. I came here to experience the highs and experience the lows. And now I'm like really triggering this wave sometimes. And the lows can be really hard. It's like, this is it. If I want to come forth and do these big things, these scary things, and get really excited, I'm going to have to go to the depths of despair later on and be like, oh, why did I do that?
Yeah.
Oh. See, this is just like, when you explained this to me when you were doing the reading, I struggled with this one, because it is completely and utterly true about me. Like, there's no doubt I live through just like multiple emotional waves, and I feel like I have down waves like more than I have up waves, but they're both quite extreme. And it's to kind of have something that gives you the understanding as to why you would have that, and actually how to work with that and see it as a benefit, has been really, really useful. Like, to be able to understand like that kind of, like, I kind of take that neutral or the emotional wave time, as like the times when I should, like you were saying, shouldn't maybe be out in the world doing things and like engaging with people. Those are the times when I should be kind of resting, like maybe beginning to birth ideas and all that kind of stuff. And that has been Retreating, yeah. I do love to retreat. See, I just need to get to the place that you're at, Angie, where, you know, I love this talk about kind of like really living your design and coming to a place where you can really accept those things in yourself. Because a lot of these things that came up in my chart anyway were things that actually I feel like the world has told me is not okay. And that's why I haven't been able to kind of sit happily in those places, go, look, I need to rest for the next like 6 weeks, just don't fucking talk to me. It's never been okay to do.
Oh, it's funny. It's like you're this manifester, and the manifestors 8% of the population, and we're all told to kind of be manifestors, right? Like, go do it, just go do it, go create, right? But then they don't really take into account that this creative energy is like a burst. I'm gonna go, I'm gonna initiate, but then I don't have the energy to do it all day long, every day for however long. Like, a manifestor has to retreat, it has to clear out its energy so they can be seen as kind of like lazy or reclusive or this or that. But it's really like you come in and you've got this idea, and you come in and you can do it, but then you need those times, that and that wave, I think, kind of helps you in a way. Some manifestors don't have that wave, so maybe they don't know to step back, but that wave does tell you, like, oh, this is a great time for me to go out into the world, and when I speak, people can really connect with me, right? Your wave goes to your voice. It's like when I speak, people can hear my emotions and my inner world and my, like all of this, and I can really connect, and I can really change people. Like the 1222 changes people. They initiate people into change and all this. But yeah, you have to retreat and you have to take that time, and society doesn't say that's okay.
No, definitely not. But it's, such a useful piece of information. Oh my gosh. Could you actually explain, would you mind talking us through just what the types are so that everyone
Yeah,
understands kind of?
I love it. And you know what? I'm gonna give the types, and it's not quite as bad as like a horoscope and human or in astrology, where you're like, this is kind of, but it's very broad, right? Like, everybody has projector channels. Everybody or not everybody, but you could have a projector channel and be a generator. You could have a manifestor channel and be so it's not always perfect, but this is the type. This is the aura that these people carry. So we kind of talked about a manifestor. They're 8% of the population. Their type is they have a motor to the throat. The throat is the manifestation central. Everything's trying to get to the throat. When you have a motor to the throat, it's like you have an idea and you want to go do it. And so manifestors have this like, I've got an idea, let's go. And so we say to the manifestor, they don't have to tell us what they're doing, but it's nice because they have this aura that you can't quite. Like, my cousin is a manifestor, and all my life I just wanted her to like me. Like, I was so obsessed with her, and I just couldn't tell, like, does she like me? Does she not? Where's she going? What's she doing? And I was just on edge all the time because she wasn't informing me of what's going on. And I was just like following her around, like, where's she gonna go? What's she gonna do? And so this strategy for a manifestor is really to inform, to tell people, what you're going to go do. It's not asking for permission. A lot of manifestors are like, I don't want to ask for permission. I don't want somebody to tell me no. But it's not asking for permission. It's just letting people know, because they have a really hard time reading. You're so quick to move. They don't know where you're going to go or what you're going to do. So the strategy of a manifestor is to inform, and that's just for other people, not for the manifestor. And then a signature of are you in alignment is this peace. Manifestors, when they're at peace, they know that they've done everything they needed to do, and they're at peace. But the not self theme is anger, and it's just because they have this, like, let's go, and somebody stands in their way. Like, don't mess with that. I'm my energy is moving this way. Don't mess with my energy. And so it can be like a outburst of anger or a feeling. A lot of manifestors actually have learned to kind of repress this because it's not okay to be angry. But that's just, it's like, Yes. Don't get in my way. It's okay. Like, you can explain why you're angry, I think, but yes, then you have the generators that are 35% of the population is a generator, 35% of the population is a manifesting generator. It's kind of the manifesting generator just has a motor to the throat, but they're still a generator. So we call them a generator type. So 70% of the population is this generator, like Jay, that has the sacral gets fired up. And when you are acting in accordance to your sacral, the sacral fires this really, really strong auric field that that Nicky can feel, right? Because you're there and you're like, whoa, and you get kind of excited and you start, generating along with them. But they have this generator field, but it has to be lit up. The generators that I know are so burnt out. They're so exhausted. And when somebody looks up their chart and they're like, I'm a generator, I'm supposed to have all of the energy, create all of this energy, I'm exhausted. And it's because you're doing all these things you don't want to do. And the sacral only responds when it's lit up. When it's lit up, it fires up. Otherwise, we're stealing energy from here and we're stealing energy from here and we're just burning ourselves out. But when you're acting in accordance, you have this sacral, yes, you go out there. A generator can work sun up to sundown on something. Like, I love to work. I love human design. I wake up at 7 a.m. and I'm reading or looking at charts or looking. I have to make myself get up and move. But at 10 o'clock at night, I'm still like, man, I kind of want to read about that, or I want to make this, or because it's something I love. I could do it all day long. And there's always, plateaus and retreat times or things like that. But the generator they want to create something in this world, and they just keep creating and keep moving. But they're to respond. So if a generator's out there initiating, I'm going to use my mind and be like, I want to do this and I want to do this, but they didn't check in with their body to make sure they had the energy, they're just, banging their head on the wall. They're not getting anywhere. And when you stop and you get into a place of response and you're responding correctly, then your body just knows, like they call it the design crystal is just steering you exactly where you need to go. Like, you don't need, and the generators are magnets. They're literally magnetizing the right things to them to respond. So you don't have to make it happen. And then we have the projectors. They're about 20% of the population. My mom's a projector. My stepdad's a projector. I love, my mom grew up with, 7 brothers and sisters and was very designed to be a generator. I'm sure most of them were generators in that house. And so she's always trying to keep up. She's always trying to do. And I'm just like, Mom, you got to stop. You got to stop. But my stepdad, he's a projector and he has got it figured out. He's a foreman. He goes, he tells the workers what to do. He goes home, he takes a nap. He's splenic, so it's a yes or a no for him. And he just, if it's a no, I'm out, get out of my space. And he just lives it very well. But these projectors, they can really see, they're here to kind of guide the energy. And so they can see, like, from a high, like a bird's eye view. The generators are really busy creating in their little funnels a lot of times. And so the projector, if recognized, could say, oh, maybe, this would be easier way to flow your energy, or this would, or they always have really good advice, but you have to ask them. If they tell you the advice and you didn't ask them, you're like, I don't want that. Stop telling me what to do, But they're like, I always tell projectors to be a lighthouse.
Sorry, my boyfriend's a projector. Sorry, babe.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. Well, this is what I would tell him: is you are a lighthouse. You are a lighthouse, and you signal out there that I have the information energetically. I know, and let people come to you, and then they're going to be like so grateful for it, right? But if they didn't ask for it, they feel like you're telling, like, my mom is like the best. I'll be telling a story and she's like, oh, and she'll tell me, and she has stories about why I shouldn't do this and why and I'm just like, stop. I don't want to hear this. But when I call her and ask, I know she's got the information. I know she's going to tell me what I need, guide my energy. And so, yeah, projectors, they're the ones I want to reach most sometimes because they can get so bitter because they have all of this information. They're like a gold mine, but they get shut down all the time. And so they can get really bitter about it. And
I wonder if my
it's just,
husband's a projector. This is all, a lot of this.
Babe, I wouldn't. I feel like that would make so much sense. Like, he'll
just give advice. It's like, I didn't ask for this, but if I ask for it, I'm happy to get it. But I didn't ask.
No, I'm trying to teach my son. He's actually a generator, but he has a projected channel, the 1858, which is the channel of judgment. And he's a generator, but he comes out with this channel of judgment, which I love the channel of judgment. It can see every single thing that's wrong and how to fix it. But, you have to ask. So I always ask him. I'm always like, how did soccer go? Oh, well, this was wrong and this was wrong and this was wrong and they weren't there and they should have done that and blah, blah, blah.
I did.
You are so good at figuring out what needs to be done, buddy. And I just always praise that because a projector really wants recognized. They need to be recognized. They feel successful when somebody says, wow, you're really great at what you do. That's what they want. They work to be successful at what they do, to be recognized. And when they're not, it's very hard for them. I think it's one of the hardest. I mean, a generator, we have all this energy. I think a manifestor can be hard too, especially if you're a child and your parents are like, don't do this and don't do this and don't do this. You either feel shut down and you kind of retreat, or you're just like the biggest rebel there is. My cousin was the biggest rebel. She was just like, I will leave the house. I don't care. You can't tell me what to do. Just gone, right?
It's a little bit like that, but in an English, prim English way.
I think that's better because when it's repressed, it's really hard to get back. It's like, it's like, oh, I'm not a manifestor. I don't have that energy. I can't, shock you or go do what I want. And it's just been so repressed, and it's really hard to get that back. So I'm glad you were a little rebellious.
Thanks, kids. I don't think all my family and cousins were, though. Stress them out.
It was quite shocking to me to watch my cousin just walk out. Like her mom would say no, and she'd just walk out of the house, and I was like, wow, I love could not do that, but
she sounds awesome.
She is. I'm trying to pin her down so I can do a reading for her. She gave me her information, but she's got the 1222 like you. She's got, her chart is a lot like you. And I think that I don't really know how to, because reaching out to her and saying, hey, can I do this, would put her in a response. And really, she has to want to ask me for it, right? And so it's a hard... And so I'll ask her for things because I can't get it to happen. And if not, and it'll take her 2 or 3 weeks and she'll get it back to me. And when she's ready, right?
What you need to do is plant the seed. Just
I was just thinking that,
design. Drop it into conversations, and then eventually she'll be like, see, I've been hearing about this human design thing.
Human design.
Yeah.
You should tell me about it.
Okay, that's what, Nikki, that is really what I wanted, because I understand manifestors the least out of all the types. My mom's a projector, so I really understand that. My sisters are generators. My kids are generators. My husband's a generator. My best friend's a reflector. We'll get to that. So I really understand reflectors. But yeah, manifestors, I don't have any manifestors that I'm close to. And so it's really hard for me to really understand that energy. And I understand that I shouldn't be, trying to get anybody that's a manifestor to respond to me, but it's hard to wait. But I like that planting the seed, just dropping it.
Yeah, that's what she needs. A bit of reverse psychology. I think it's her idea.
What's a reflector?
Oh my gosh. So reflectors are only 1% of the population. So we don't all get so lucky to have a reflector in your life. I feel like the luckiest person because growing up, my cousin that I was closest to she's a reflector. We're not close anymore. She lives far away. And when a reflector, you really have to be around them because they get where they want to be and they take on that kind of they have every center open. Let's just say that they have no definition in their chart. They have some gates, but they have no channels. They have no um, none of the little centers that you see are defined. They're all wide open. And anywhere that we're defined, we have energy in that to do it the same way every time, right? We have consistency. A reflector doesn't have that consistency. They're wide open. They're always kind of tasting the world and tasting other people's auras, and they can take in everything. Luckily for a reflector, I think the reflectors get told that they're like the canary in the coal mine and they're so sensitive, but they're really not that sensitive because they have this Teflon on them. And so the aura will come and they'll taste it, but it just slides right off. So they actually have kind of a protection there. But the reflector is really here to be that mirror for us. So, growing up, my cousin was a reflector, and she always mirrored my energy back to me. And now my best friend, I mean, we talk every single day, and I always know, like when she started saying, "Oh yeah, we never start things," or "We never follow through," or "Oh, we know this, but we don't do it," and she was saying it to me all the time. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to stop the cycle. And as soon as I stopped and I actually quit my job and I actually started doing this full time, she started writing her book. Like the story stopped. And I was like, okay. But they're always mirroring the reflector. It's really important. Their environment is really comfortable for them. That's the most important thing, is they feel good in their home, or if they're in a school or something like that, they really have to feel good in their environment. But they're just really here to kind of reflect things back. They're the best person to bounce ideas off of, and they'll actually bounce their ideas off of you a lot because they're trying to hear it and get it reflected back to them too. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful design. I love reflectors.
Wow, I know one person that is a reflector. And that explains so much. You've just given me like a much bigger deep dive into understanding that person. It's actually amazing.
Yeah. And
Like
it is. And it's not like they don't have their own, sometimes reflectors are kind of made to feel that they don't have their own like ideas or, whatever. But that's not really true. They really just have to make sure they're in the right environment, because whatever their environment, they are going to reflect it. So they have to just feel really good with the people they're with and the environment that they're in, and then they know that they're correct.
That sounds really actually useful. Like just being able to be in an environment and reflecting that, then you could put yourself anywhere you wanted to really and thrive in those spaces. That sounds really useful.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It is. And, if you were starting a business and you could hire, I wish any reflector that wants to like consult or something, go out there and consult, because if you were opening a restaurant or you were opening a business, if you could have a reflector come in your space and be like, "Ooh, this feels really good," or this energy is off here, or something like that, they're really good at that.
Okay. See, this is why I need every single person I've ever met's chart. Just to know.
Okay, so I'm a naturalist in a lot of ways, but if we could just have these like special glasses or something that I could like tap the
Yeah.
side, and it would give me like their whole like chart and everything, and then I would know how to speak to somebody, how to,
Exactly.
like,
Because it's also like hearing all of these things, and I have massive self-confidence issues. I will literally always leave, and I think this is in my design. I'll leave a thing and I'll literally just be like, why do I exist right now? Like, why did I say those words? Da, 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 da. I make it all about me, And then I have to sometimes step back and go, hang on, these are all human beings. Like, how do you know what I mean? What was their experience? Were they nervous? Were they good? Like, what was it? And this just for me would help so much in just social interaction. And I feel like that's what it is. If you've got a bit of social anxiety, understanding how
Well,
people
you know, you're really, really powerful, Nikki. Like when you walk in a room, it's very powerful and it can put people on edge. And you just have to know that you're the initiator, you're the spark. You could change somebody's life, and that's a good thing, right? Like maybe it's uncomfortable for them. That's okay. Like that's okay.
Yeah. Wow. Oh gosh, I really have to like. It's so hard to hear this. Even you say such a beautiful sentence, like it's like about the power and that kind of thing. I'm like, oh my god, I don't know if I can take that on, but I'm going to. This is going to be my my New Year's resolutions
You
to
have
accept.
to. You have to. The whole reason we have
No.
this podcast in the first place is actually I'd initially gone to Nicky and said I wanted to do some Instagram live sessions or something like that where we talk about all of these types of things, and then for whatever reason at the time it's just like, no, let's just leave it. And then she came forward and said, why don't we do a podcast? And I was like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. And so it was her sparking off the idea of the podcast and then me responding to that, which is why we're here today. So that was very much all of our chart in action,
summed up.
which is,
I
And
do
if-
find this really
and if-
interesting. Sorry, you go.
Go ahead. Well, if Jay would have said, let's do this and forced it, it wouldn't have been the right timing. But the fact that she waited for you to initiate and then she was able to respond, then you had the generator engaged and not from her mind, like, oh, this would be fine. You initiated a response that her sacral said yes. And now you have the power of the sacral behind your podcast instead of just your idea, you know, and her sacral's like, no, and then you don't have the power, or her idea, but her sacral didn't respond. And so she's forcing it like a manifester.
yeah, it's balanced. It's great.
It is. And do you know what's so interesting is like, I think you said the other day, Jay, like hearing the strategies is really interesting because I feel like sometimes they can make you feel a bit limited. So like as a generator, waiting to respond or that kind of thing. And then like, you know, so what do I just wait around for people to ask me to do things? Or like you said earlier, so I just want to clarify this. You said about generators magnetizing things to them. And I thought that was so interesting because then that flips it in my brain and it kind of means that the generator almost like magnetizes, brings the opportunity forward. And then, for example, like I'd step up and be like, oh, I've been magnetized to you. Here's the thing, let's do it. And that's kind of what it felt like. That's okay.
That is exactly how it works. And, you know, we talk about in the spiritual community, oh, surrender, surrender, surrender. It's a beautiful word, but it's like, what the heck does that mean? Do I not
in practical terms?
Do I not get to do anything I want to do because I'm in surrender? Well, I get to make a list. This is what I think is great. And it's always this or something better, right? Like we're never going to narrow ourselves into this is the only way, but oh, I really want to make a podcast. I am going to get that in my aura, get that moving. I'm going to magnetize the right people, the right things, the right place. And it comes. And that is the surrender, is waiting for the right timing.
I just need to be making lists or requests of things that I want into the universe and just waiting to see what comes back and then saying yes to it.
Yes. And of course, my mouse doesn't want to work. I want to look, Jay. So you're specific. So lists. Exactly. You want to make a list. And for anybody that wants to know what I just meant by saying that Jay's specific, if you pulled up your design chart on like myhumandesign.com and you see the arrows and the right bottom arrow is whether you're specific or non-specific. It's facing the right. You just, mine faces the right. It's like, how do I want to feel in my day? How do I want to feel in my life? How do I want to feel in my business? And it's just this kind of like overarching like theme or feeling. And then if you're specific, it's like, here's my list, universe. Like, I want this, 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 this. I want specifics, you know, and that's how you bring it in.
Okay. I think we're the same with that, aren't we? About the specifics.
Yes. Actually, you're both
I think you
exactly
said that
the
to me.
same.
You were like,
arrows.
you need to write down your ideas. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I printed both of our charts, obviously, like I said earlier, and I know, and it had the arrows on, and I was like,
Sorry.
"Is that just?"
I always get extra. It's the lean. It's the dossier lean. Sorry. Go on. I'm gonna mute myself.
Don't mute yourself. And I basically just wondered, like, if, because our arrows were the same, I was like, is that a mistake, or is that actually, so 2 going to the right, 3 going to the right, and 1 going to the left for both of us?
Yes, you have the exact same arrows. So that means that you take in information, you take in nourishment, you take in the world in the same way, you store it in your mind in the same way, you are flexible in your environment in the same way, and then you're the only place that you're specific, because right is always more of a flow, more of a feminine, receptivity, and left is always more specific, like boom. So that's the only place you're specific, is kind of your manifestation style is very specific.
Okay. Oh, my brain. Oh my gosh.
I remember when I was at work, it was a point in my relationship where my husband was just like, we're not going to travel because money. And I got really annoyed with that. So I decided to write a list of all of the places that I wanted to go to. And I just kind of put this under my desk at work. And then the job sort of changed up in that I had to travel for work. I hadn't remembered this list at this point in time. So I had ended up going a bunch of places, and then when I've cleared out my desk on like my last day of work, I found this journal with all of the places, and I had like so many of them just ticked off on the list. It's just like, wow, I hadn't even remembered that I'd put this all down, and I got to see all of these places on my list. That's specific. Maybe I should be making more lists. Maybe this is where
I wish you would. Can you write down that I'm going to come to London, because I want to come to London so bad.
Definitely.
Bring Angie to London.
Bring Angie to London. Get that list going, Jay.
Yes, both of you, write it down.
I'm going to tell you, like, Jay's amazing at this kind of thing. So, like, if you want her to manifest you coming to London, you better be packing your bag now.
My moon's moving. My moon's been in Scorpio, so we have like the progressions, right? Your moon can progress through these, and my moon's been in Scorpio, and it's been very like self-reflective, and I've got to dive deeper, and I've got to. It's been a really deep 2.5 years almost, but it's gonna move into the 9th house, which is all about travel, and I'm like, yes.
Ooh. Babe, my moon has just moved as well. So my moon was like my life for 10 years. So from 24 to 34, the moon was in control of it. And it meant that I couldn't do anything. I needed to be reflective that whole time. And then smack bang at age 34, I'll be able to start moving forward and doing things. And actually, that is literally what happened, isn't it, Jay? You were there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll be straight. We'll get the room ready for you, Angie.
Yeah.
Get the guest bed out.
I love it.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you a little bit about, just because I feel like a lot of people who will be listening to this probably won't know really anything, kind of like where we started, like what do all these words mean? So when you talk about having defined and undefined centers, can you just explain a little bit about what that means?
Yeah, we'll just run through them really, really quick. So we'll just start top down, right? And these are kind of chakra system too. So like the crown chakra is they call that the head center. If you have it defined, you just have a little bit more definition in how you kind of bring in information and inspiration. If you have it open, you just have like a lot more flexibility. It's like, this way and this way and this way. And usually this way and this way and this way, when I say that, is logic, abstract, individual. So you always have like these three lines. One is, logical, one is abstract, and one is individual. And Nikki, you're an abstract thinker. So your thoughts are usually going to be in an abstract way. Jay, yours is open, but you have like one of the individual and one of the logic channels defined. So you might kind of pull that way a little bit. But yeah, then you go to the mind, which they call the ajna, but it's just the mind. It's that pineal gland area of the body. And that has, these different channels that could be defined or open. And open is flexibility, maybe taking in when you're in a room with somebody, you could maybe really understand how they're thinking and reflect that if it's open, or you're kind of the one driving it. If you have it defined, you can kind of drive it, and you could even kind of place like that thought in somebody's open mind, And then you go to the throat center, which is the manifestation center. It's a little square right in the throat of the body graph. And this is all about like bringing things to you, manifesting through words. You guys talk about magic. Magic was always spells, right? Like speaking and creating, right? And that's why they call the throat center the manifestation, because it's like words have power. Getting it to the throat has the power to create. And then you have the little triangle, or what would it be, like a diamond, and that's the G center. If you have that filled in, you just have a very defined direction in life. Wherever it is, it's always directing you in life. If you have it open, you still have direction, but you're always trying to pair up with the right person that kind of has that direction to get you there, and you're always kind of you're tasting this culture and this person, and you can always really connect with people. You're very good at reflecting them back to them. And then we'll move to the left side is the splenic center, that little triangle there. The splenic center rules kind of the body and the instincts. And, like if you have a splenic hit, they call it, that's like that instinct. And then if you go to the right side, exactly the other side is the solar plexus, which is the emotional center. If you have that defined, you have an emotional wave. So like Nikki and I, we both have an emotional wave. That wave gets triggered and we're on a wave, like a literal, like, woo, high, low, whatever the wave is, we're on it, right? Jay has it wide open, and that is that's what we call an empath. And I feel like I have some empathic abilities, but I'm not a true empath. Jay is a true empath. That means her solar plexus is wide open. She literally feels the emotions of other people, like just 200% in her body. And so just being very aware, and this is not a bad thing. It's like you are the screen, the emotion is the wind, you taste it and you let it fly right through you because it's not yours, right? And it's easier said than done, I understand that. But just knowing that when you walk into a room, other people's emotions are banging on you and it's not yours. It's for you to better understand that, better to understand all of the emotional waves. And we go to school in life whenever we're open in something. That's where we came to like learn about other people, and we came to kind of teach about us in the defined centers. And then we have that, we've got the square, which is the solar plexus right there. And I missed the ego. I'll go back up. The square is that sacral, that fire, that creation energy. If you have that defined, you're a generator no matter what. If you have it open, then you're either a manifestor, a reflector, or a projector. And that little square that's kind of looks like it's in the heart center, it's part of the heart center. The G center was part, and the ego is the other part. That is the ego, the will center. Willpower resides there, and we talked about that. Jay has that wide open, and I'm like, you don't have willpower, and that's okay, And then Nikki and I, we both have this defined. Nikki's even got more willpower because she's got the splenic willpower and the directional willpower. But it's like once that gets triggered, then you can finish it, right? You have the energy to finish it. And if you have that open, it doesn't mean you don't have willpower. It just means like, hey, you're not here to like commit and go for it, right? Like you're here to every day check in, like, do I have the energy for this? Do I not? And when it's open, sometimes people can be like trying to really show that they have willpower, and they show that they're like, it's kind of like, I am enough. And there's all kinds of places for that. So don't think that even if you have it, you don't feel that. But it really, you're like always kind of trying to show up like, I am enough. I am enough. See, I can work harder. See, I can. So we always watch for that. And then that bottom square is the root center. And the root center, it's just got this pulse. There's always a pulse with the root center. And if you have it open, Nikki and I have it open, it can feel very stressful to be around other people's pulse, because you feel like, oh, I got to do it right now. I got to do it. Oh, I got to get this off my plate. It's like a very like stress inducing. It's the adrenals. And if you do have that defined, then your pulse is a little bit more defined. Jay feels very grounded to me. I am not the most grounded person. I'm always trying to ground myself. But that root really grounds, and kind of, and you've got 2 format channels, Jay. So your energy really formats the room.
Well, thank goodness you're my mate, Jay. I need some of that grounding.
And I need some of your willpower. So this is great. It's a match made in heaven.
Do you know what though? When you say words like willpower, and I see it in the chart, and I do understand it for me, but there is also an element of me where I feel like I have like none. So to have 2 kind of places defined,
you definitely do.
Do I?
Even in the way we show up to this, I know we need to do this regularly. For all of you out there, Nikki's the one that's like, right, we're showing up at this time, this is what we're doing, and we need to be doing this on a weekly basis. Like there's consistency there. And I'm just
I've got obsessed.
Well, I will.
I'm just like, it'll get done. It will get done. It'll just happen. It just will.
Oh my gosh! So Jay
one
saying
of my
this
favorite
kind of
channels is. Go, yeah.
Sorry, no, go ahead, Angie.
Well, one of my favorite channels is the 515. So anybody who wants to look at their chart, it's the square sacral and the little diamond, the 515s right there on the left. And the 515 is the flow, and like it can go extreme here and test it, and then extreme here and test it, and it's very flowing. And the 5 is like routine, like let's do it over and over and over again let's get this routine. And my son has the whole channel, and so he's a little bit more like he can flow when he needs to, and he's got this routine that keeps him really healthy. But I only have the 15, so I am like, oh, I'm just flow. And so Jay's got the 15. So it was just so funny to hear her say how she wants to flow. And then she's got the defined root. So my 15, like when somebody's with a defined root, I'm like, am I not doing what I need to do? So I get a little bit anxious about it. But so Jay's got the 15 of flow, and Nikki's got the 5 where she's like, hey, let's do it regularly. Let's show up. Let's routine this. And so together, you kind of really balance that out.
Okay, that's really good. Because realistically, this probably wouldn't be happening if I said, it will just happen. We will just record an episode and it will just be good vibes. No. It probably wouldn't happen if Nicola wasn't
Jay,
there.
When you said
we're going to record on this date, go on.
When you said that to me, I had to be like, no, okay, we're going with the flow, but in the way of like doing the thing. Like we're gonna do the thing. This is the date. This is the fucking time, and then it will flow from there. This is just so interesting and amazing to hear, because again, it gives me so much more context for just like our relationship, how it works, why it works, like all those places that balance us out. It is actually I think my partner's quite jealous, to be honest. He's worried that me and Jay are going to run off together, but she just got married this year, so we
can't. To the sunset.
Into the sunset. manifesting
No,
and
no,
generating along the
No,
way.
and I understand that so much because you guys literally complete each other. You know, when you say like you
Yeah.
complete me, like literally. Nikki's got the 48, which is like this depth, right? This depth. And Jay's got the 16, which is like the skills, like do it over and over and get the skills. And when you have the whole channel, you're like, boom, you've got the depth and the skills. When Jay's not there, Nikki's like, I just feel inadequate. I don't have enough skills. I don't know what, like, I just need more.
It's funny.
And when Jay's there,
She's
she's like,
always saying like she needs the skills. She feels like he needs the skills.
And I do feel like Jay has them all.
I know
But
things and I drink some wine.
it's just reaching for what you don't have and realizing, like that depth. My uncle always would tell me, you need to just dig a deeper hole, Angie. And I'm like, I don't have depth. I want to know, like, boom, boom, boom. I want to get in, grab what I need, and get out, and like
Yeah.
learn the skills, right?
Yeah.
Like, I am not supposed to be the deep well. Like, just not.
No, I would say I have a really broad knowledge. I can go in and basically talk to a beginner level on most things, just enough people to go, wow, that's really interesting. But I don't have a deep, like, I went to a Halloween party last week and some dickhead guy started mansplaining to me about China and business. I can't remember. I was drinking. So I just started talking to him in Chinese. Like, oh my God, you speak Chinese? I'm like, yeah, up until a point, and then after that, I'm not going to be able to I'm not business proficient, I can have a conversation in a restaurant type of thing.
And that's where you stop yourself, right? Like you're learning just enough skills to have what you need. And then you stop yourself from thinking that it's great because you're like, I just don't know enough. I'm not deep enough, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you got what you need, right? We always have what we need.
Yeah.
Jay needs to hear that.
Learning so many lessons. I do need to hear that because I like knowing about things. I like knowing about a lot of different things. But in knowing about a lot of different things, it's always going to be a struggle for time. Unless like I had come onto this planet to just purely be a maester and just learn these things, where am I realistically getting the time to go deep on these things when I'm having to work 8-9 hours a day? Do you know what I mean? So,
and I feel like that with human design, looking at I literally thought I was gonna like become an expert in 2 months because that's who I am. I'm like, yeah, and and I would go, and then I would hate it and I'd throw it away, and then I would go, and then I would hate it and I'd throw it away, and it took me 6 or 7 years of this, and I just finally made myself come out as this expert, but and you guys could probably tell, like I know my stuff. But I am a perfectionist. I want to know every single thing. If I didn't know every single thing, I shouldn't be putting myself out there. That's wrong, right? Like that's who I think I should be. And now I'm just like, no, stop it. Like you're denying people this because you want to be perfect. No, that's vanity. That's one of my gene keys, vanity. I want to be perfect. I want everybody to see me as perfect. No, stop.
Wow, it's so interesting to hear it put like that. You are denying everybody these things because you want to be perfect. That's vanity. That is like a completely different way for me to think about it. But yeah, well, thank goodness you've stepped out seriously because we need this information. I don't know because I feel like it's quite advanced. But the gene key thing. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about what they were. And just kind of the beginning of how to start to work with it, because I found it really interesting actually that you sent me off to read that book, like mind-blowing.
So I feel like human design, it really does take, yes, you can individually take the things and learn more about yourself, but it really does, it's really nice to have an expert kind of show you how it works. Gene keys, I feel like it's a lifelong contemplation and you need nobody to show you what Gene Keys does. And that's like, I love to introduce it. If anybody has a reading with me, I will introduce it because I want you to have a lifelong path of getting to know yourself. And so, you know, I'll tell you how your energy works. I'll tell you what your human design is, but then I will introduce you to Gene Keys. And that's because Richard Rudd, he really, really went deep into this raw, like, was very masculine about it. Like, here's how your energy works. This is how it goes. Boom, 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 boom. And then Richard Rudd was like, but I want to go deeper. I want to give somebody, so the Gene Keys gives you each of these keys, which is just a gate in human design. So one of the little gates in human design equate to Richard Rudd's beautiful little infographic about what your Gene Keys are. And it takes your incarnation cross, which in human design is what you came here, what's your purpose, right? So you have your cross, and so it says, like, what's your purpose? What's your evolution? So you always have something that's kind of hard. They don't seem like they match up, but they make you evolve over and over and over again. But if you get from the shadow level of a Gene Key, you get the shadow, you get the gift, and you get the city. And I throw the city out. Sometimes I look at it, but I'm not like trying to get to the city. That's like very enlightened. I'm here in this world to be here in this world. And so I'm really trying to get to the gift level. And if I get to enlightenment, whoa, you know, cool. But I really just want the gift. And so you look at this, and each of these little orbs has your shadow, your gift, and your, you know, enlightened city. And so I'll just read them. I'll pick up my Gene Keys book on a Sunday morning, have my coffee, and I'll read it. And it always reads differently. But yeah, my 12th, which you have that too, Nikki, the 12th gate is vanity. It's vanity or discrimination. And I can use the discrimination the wrong way too, because I'm so good at seeing, like, do they really know what they're talking about? Do they really have enough of that? You know, discriminating against what? But really it's because I'm using it in vanity. I'm like, and I'll go, you know, I'll go to a health professional finally, and I am like tearing them down in my head a little bit because I know more than them. Well, why didn't I step up and try to do that, right? Like, why am I sitting here hiding all this knowledge? And why am I being a jerk about it when they're actually trying to help people? And so, yeah, that's like, I'm always looking at my Gene Keys and looking at, where am I in the shadow? Where can I be in the gift?
See, this is amazing because we've been doing so much on shadow work. And yeah, that completely makes sense for me. But
and shadow work, you know, they talk about shadow work all the time, but nobody tells you how to do it, right? Like, I feel like the Gene Keys tells me what my shadows are, and then I can work on
them. Exactly.
I think there are a lot of systems that show you how to, you know, internally perceive what your shadow areas are, but to have it spelled out so, like, eloquently, that's really useful, because you're able to point to something saying, like, yeah, here I'm prone to this or prone to that. And for me to get to a place where I'm not doing that, this is what I'm looking to get to. I think that's really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people they can go within and they can be like, oh, this is coming up for me, and I can feel where it is in my body and what it is, and I can send it love, and I'm not very good at that. My mind is extremely active. I want something to give it to chew on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So have either of you looked at your Gene Keys more?
Yeah. Like, sorry, that's why I'm going, because I pulled my Gene Keys up a few days ago, had a look, and then pulled them up again this morning. And it's like, it made even more sense to me. Like, so love, it comes up as one of mine. In relationships, my greatest challenge is to transform the shadow of confusion into the gift of imagination. Okay, so this is like, when I read this morning, just the words that are used, really hit me, because I've been saying so much, Jay, I don't know if you have noticed this, but when something is weird for me, I'm like, yeah, so it's just like, you get so confused with this thing, and I felt so confused with that, and it's just like confusing and da, 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 da. And I just
You do
started to
use that word a
realize
fair
you
bit.
do, don't I? Yeah, it's just confusing. Like, it just doesn't quite make sense. Like, and it just, you know, it's actually brilliant. Yeah, so I do want to start what you've suggested, and kind of almost have like a little bit of a practice once a week or once a month, whatever, just kind of sitting with them, reading it, and just contemplating, like you're saying, like contemplating actually the process that I'm in, or the stage that I'm in with that part of me. So everybody get a reading with Angie, go and get the book Gene Keys or Richard Rudd, sort your lives out. It's no excuse.
For real, and it's never perfect, right? Like, I show up sometimes and I'm doing what I love and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm doing my dream, and then I get off the call and I'm like, now what? It's never perfect, but I come back to these tools over and over and over. I come back to, okay, gratitude. Now I'm in a little bit of a low, so I'm just going to be grateful. I'm going to have my chaga tea or my, whatever, and I'm going to be grateful, and I'm going to feel this low. I'm going to feel this wherever I'm just enjoying the experience of being human, and I'm not trying to, the buzzword of spiritual bypassing, like everything's fine, everything's fine.
No,
It never is. We have, we have so many individual channels that make us feel very sad sometimes, and they're not there for sadness. They're there to kind of bring us down, so that we can go within. And it's like, oh, this is, I'm just supposed to go within right now,
Yeah. It's so good to have those reminders.
It's such a,
okay,
it flips the perspective as well.
It does.
100%. I wanted to ask you, Angie, as well, just about, so your podcast. So obviously we've got you to come in and give us this amazing gift of doing our charts for us, but obviously you have a podcast that you're about to release, right? So would you tell us a little bit about your podcast, when it's coming out, what it's about?
Yeah. So my podcast is Evolving on Purpose. And I just chose Evolving on Purpose as my kind of overarching, because I don't know who I'm going to be or where I'm going to go with any of this, because I am always evolving my interests. And I'm just really living my design. And my design is that what interests me and lights me up is where I'm going to go. And so that's why it's Evolving on Purpose. I'm just trying to take a purposeful,
I love that name,
and
by the
very
way. I love it.
Yes, it's just like we're always, we always are evolving. And if you look at the spiral dynamics of a staircase, you're always, meeting the same problems at a different level. It's how we're always going to be. But I just want to be really purposeful in that. And so that's kind of the overarching theme of it. But I don't know, sometimes I really want to talk about human design, but I don't want to shut anybody out of if they're not into human design, or they're not a human, that they couldn't, just come for a good conversation with people. So we'll see. It's Evolving on Purpose because it's always going to evolve, and it's always going to change, where my lens is looking. And right now it's kind of human design and Gene Keys. And I know that'll always be a theme for me. It's always going to be a lens I look at the world. But, I might get back into nutrition again because I love it. I might I'd really love to do some body, getting into my body. My body is a big thing for me. I try to get lost in my mind a lot. And so really doing some body practices. So I might have guests on about that and things like that. But yeah, that's the podcast. And then I have evolvingonpurpose.org. If you just go evolvingonpurpose.org, it'll take you to my website. I offer readings via Zoom. You can be anywhere in the world, and we can find a time to connect. I have a personal reading or a family reading. It could be you and a partner. It could be you and a child. It's just an hour and a half, so I don't care if you want to have 4 people. It's just going to be that much shorter on each design. And then I have the coaching if you really want to I kind of looked at this and I really want to go deep, and I want to meet with somebody, once a week, or it's just 4 sessions. And then we would just figure out how to do those 4 sessions in a way that we keep meeting you where you're at in your design and using the different tools to really go deep.
I absolutely love everything you're doing. It just feels like the earth needs right now someone actually helping people to step into their most authentic, truest selves, or relationships. And our readings, we both really enjoyed the readings that we had. I've watched mine over a couple of times now, and I'm really just so glad to have it all spelled out so clearly, because I can actually look into who I am in some kind of depth in a way that I haven't been able to like articulate beforehand. So I would definitely recommend it. When will your podcast be out?
I was hoping November 1st, but we were talking about, I need to become a very quick editing expert.
Yeah.
I have 4 episodes down. I need 1 more before I really am going to launch. So today we're going to get that one done. And then, so I'm hoping mid-November, might be December 1st. I'm not sure, but it will be before the new year. It will be out.
Fabulous. We're definitely going to be keeping an eye out. Get us on your mailing list. We want to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We will let all you guys, if you've loved this today, which I can't imagine why you wouldn't have, to be honest. Like, I'm so it's been awesome. Then please go and check out Angie's stuff, sign up, follow her on Instagram, keep watching us, because we will post when you have your launch date.
Yes,
and
definitely.
Get your chart done. Guys, this is
Get
like,
it done.
of all of this,
it's like a blueprint for who you are.
It's a bloody blueprint. Who doesn't want an instruction manual to just give you a few tips on how to just walk through life that little bit easier? And seriously, get your chart done.
Yes, and I love to meet people at their highest expression. I might like touch on where it could be showing up for you, but Carl Jung always said that when you meet people, now I'm missing the quote, but basically just saying like meeting people in their highest expression is like, then you allow them to come to that. And that's like my intention every single time that I read somebody is to really show you your highest potential.
Fucking love it. Right. Jay, do you want to say your words?
Yes, I think now is a good a time as any to sign off this episode of the Afro Animist podcast. We've had lovely Angie on today. Thank you so much for being here, Angie. We put all of her details in the things below or above, depending on whatever platform you're on. I've been Jay Percy.
And I'm Nicola Roth. And thank you so much for listening, guys. Tune in again next week.
See you later. Bye. Thank you, beautiful being of the multiverse, for joining us on the Afro Animist podcast.
If you want to get stuck into the conversation or have a question about anything we speak about here, join our mailing list and find us on our socials.
On TikTok and Instagram, find us at the Afro Animist podcast.
On Twitter, you can find us at Afro Animist. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Music, you can also find this talk on YouTube. Just search for us and we will pop up as if by magic.
If you're loving what we're talking about here, share, like, and subscribe. And remember to leave us a thumbs up or 5-star rating on your favourite platform.